I think we can start now. It's 6:10. And yeah, so hi everyone. Thank you for joining today's webinar on Excel form authoring to Power BI Live dashboard. Moses requested that he takes us through this, and I think it's very important to learn how to collect data remotely. That being said, everyone is on listen mode. So if you have any question while Moses is talking, please type on the Q&A or the chat box. And when we get to the Q&A session, I will read them out to Moses. Okay, Moses, please go ahead. And looking forward to learning from you today.
Okay, thank you. Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much for the team that has showed up, and for Phoenix Analytics for hosting me. Just like my first cover page of my slide reads, XLS from authoring to Power BI Live dashboard. And I know from the flyer that went out, your interest will be what and why XLS form, what's the importance columns in XLS form, how do I code or how do I do syntax in XLS form, and how do I link my form to ODK, and how do I link to Power BI, and eventually to live dashboard, of course, in Power BI stuff. So this is my first slide. I want us to visualize the data circle that is on my left-hand side. Just visualize it practically. And let's start from step one. That is creating questionnaires. So you have to have these questionnaires that you want to create in XLS. So I'm assuming that you have been sent by someone to go and collect some data in the field, somewhere in Turkana, somewhere in Nairobi, somewhere in Nyeri, or whichever place. Or you are maybe a data analyst or a data manager somewhere, or a data scientist somewhere, and you have been assigned a task to go and supervise or manage some data collection kind of survey. So you have this team of research assistants, you have this team of enumerators or data clerks or other data officers who wants to go and collect this data in the field, right? So for you, you have to go through all this circle to ensure that you collect data that is of quality, so that you can write a report at the end of the day that depicts the same situation in the field or rather in the ground. So your first step will be to create questionnaires, and we will do all these practically. Have done it, but I will show you how you can do all these practically with the interest of time. So step one will be creating your questionnaire. Of course, you will be using your computer to create these questionnaire. When I say creating questionnaire, I mean turning the questionnaire into some soft copy XLS. The second step will be send questionnaire to mobile phone. How are you going to convert this questionnaire into an ODK format, electronic format, so that you'll just be going to the field and you swipe next and someone responds. You swipe next and someone responds. The first step will be connect data on the mobile phones. After that, we will see how you can send the data from the field, of course, to the server. So after that, step 5 will be analyzing your data, of course, after downloading it from the server. So we will use 3 tools. The first one will be the Excel, and if you see XLS, by default, we are talking about Excel. The second one will be an ODK app, or Survey CTO, or Kobo Collect app, the one that you prefer. For me, I prefer ODK, and that's the one that we'll be using practically. The third one will be Honor. Honor is like a server, or server CTO, or Kobo. So those are servers. The first one will be the kits, and the second one will be the kits or the applications, and the third one will be the servers. Finally, we'll be using the Power Business Intelligence software to ensure that our report or our dashboard goes live. So XLS is kind of a standard form that is created to help simplify questionnaire in Excel. I think that's the simplest definition of XLS form that I can share with us. So the main thing that you have to know is that you basically only use Excel to create your XLS form, and it doesn't involve a lot of complicated syntax. No, authoring is done using just a human readable format. The syntax are there, but they are the basic syntax that we are used to. So we have sheets in XLS that you are going to use to ensure that your form runs. And each XLS form has two mandatory worksheets. The first one is survey, and the second one is choices. You will see these ones practically as I share my XLS. So we also have a third sheet called settings, but it's not mandatory. What I mean by that is that your form will still run without the third sheet, that is the settings sheet. But it's advisable to have the settings sheet because we will see some of the columns or the details of the settings sheet as we move on. So these worksheets have mandatory columns that must be present for the form to work, right? So let's start with the survey sheet. So this sheet gives your form its overall structure and contains most of the content of the form. We will see that practically. Then the choices sheet, rather worksheet, is used to specify the answers, choices for select choice questions. When I say select choice questions, I mean either select one or select multiple. So for choices sheet, we only have select one and select multiple choices. When I say select one, I mean you have more than two or more than one choices, but you are only restricted to selecting one. When I say select multiple, I mean you have 5, but you are allowed to select up to 5. For instance, if I tell you which kind of foods do you eat, of course you will say ugali, fish, meat, and all those. You will not be restricted to to only one kind of meal. So that is the difference between select one and select multiple. So the survey sheet has again 3 mandatory columns. So we have type column, we have name column, and we have the label column. So it has other columns, but they are not mandatory. So the mandatory ones are type, name, and label. But just as maybe as per your preference or the way you want your questionnaire to appear during data collection, you can have up to almost, I think, more than 20 columns based on what you want to input in each and every column. So it may also contain other columns. So these are the columns that I was talking about. We have hint column. So hint is like you want to remind someone of something, but you don't want it to be in bold. I think that's how I can define it, but we will see it practically. We have required. So these are questions that are a must. In most of the surveys, you will see them marked with stars. Of course, we have a required message. So if you mess with the required column, which kind of message should come to you? Which kind of message will pop up so that you are being reminded that in this required column, I need to do ABC. So we also have a relevant column. We will see that practically. We have a begin group and we have end group. So for every group that you begin in XLS, you must end it. Every group that you begin, you must end it. We have choice filter, we have constraints, we have constraint message. So constraint message, if I enter a wrong data in the constraint column, which kind of message do I get? So that is the constraint message. For instance, if I say, I only want to collect information for children below 5, and then you enter age of a child to be 6. So you've already violated the rule. So the consent message will tell you that kindly only key in children of age 5, or kindly you have to enter only children above 5, and so on, as per your preference. So we have calculations. These are always hidden columns. I mean, hidden questions in the ODK, rather in the XLS. So for instance, you want to sum some kind of questions. You want to add 1 plus 1, 2 plus 2, or you want to calculate some percentage. There's always that allocation. So we also have other extra columns that maybe we will see as we move on practically. So under choice worksheet, we also have 3 mandatory columns. We have list name, we have name, and we have the label. We will see that practically. So we have several questions in when you are doing survey. So based on the kind of survey that you are doing, or based on the kind of question that you are asking. So you will either ask an integer at one point. Integer are things like 1, 2, 3, like what's your age, how many times do you eat in a day? So you'll be 3, 2, or whichever. So decimal are things like 1.1, 2.3, and all those. So any value that has a decimal, we categorize it as decimal. Text, something like what's your name? Say that my name is John. So that's a text format. Select one. Select one is a question like, did it rain? So it either rained or it never rained. So it's a yes or no. So you can't say that, you can't respond to yes and no at the same time. So select one restricts you to only one kind of response. Of course, we have select multiple. I'd given you an example of select multiple. We have a note. A note is something like reminding someone. It's something that drives the point home. And then we have a date, like for example, when is the date today, or what date were you born? You can key in that kind of date. We have image. You can take a picture. You have audio. You can record or upload an audio. Same to video. We have geopoint, and we also have barcode that you are able to scan. So this is my last slide. Then we move to practicals. So we have rules when authoring XLS. The first rule is to make sure that your file is saved by the extension xlsx. That's the kind of extension that will be read, or that ODK will understand. If you do XLS, it will not go through. The second one is make sure that your column headers are in lowercase. For instance, label or name and note, label with capital L or name with capital N. The third one, ensure that your sheets names are appropriately named. That is survey and not sheet 1, or not survey of capital S, or not surveys. It will only read survey. Lastly, make sure that the questionnaire names are unique and do not contain spaces or special characters. So that's the column name that I talked about. The column has to contain unique values with no spaces and no special characters like hash or other kind of characters, but we will see that practically. So I think I'll pull down my slides. Then I'll drag this kind of recorded XLS there. So I talked about 2 sheets, and I said the third sheet is optional, but it's advisable to have the third sheet. That's the way I had it here. So the third sheet is called setting. So let's explore what the survey sheets entail. So where did I get all these questions? I think I missed that part. So there's this kind of questionnaire that I came across in the internet, household survey to assess the impact of COVID-19 on livelihood and food security. So I think it was done sometime during the COVID pandemic by ICFR. I think, I don't know whether it was India or whichever, but I only had an interest with the questions that were here. So I never sampled all the questions because of time. I only took a few set of questions for demonstration purposes. So this is where I got the questions. If you ask yourself, so all these are just theories. Maybe we can start from here. Yes, we have date of interview, we have a numerator name, we have organization, position, location, whether the area is urban or rural, and all those. So if you can see, this is the introduction. So after introduction, we have what we call general information, which again, the enumerator is expected to collect. After that, they go, that's a continuation of general information. After that, there is markets. So each and every question is categorized into specific theme, if I can say so. So there's a question, there's a number here, then there's a question, and then there's choices. So I'm assuming if you go to the field with this kind of paper, if you print it and maybe you distribute it amongst your enumerator so that they can go to the field, or you can go to the field and collect, there's always chances of, messing up with this kind of data. First of all, if I tick yes, and maybe I'm someone who has some, I can say large handwriting or big handwriting, literally. So if I do a tick here, this tick might even touch the no part of it. So when you'll be analyzing this report, you'll be like, is this a yes or a no? Because the person has marked it and the tick has passed through yes and no. Or suppose maybe she or he is doing a circle or just cycling it. The circle might be so big that it covers also the N and the yes. So it might not be very easy to determine which is the exact response that was marked. That is one. Two is that these papers are prone to, they are prone to wear and tear. You might be rained in the field, and your papers, or rather the forms that already you have filled, can be destroyed. Something again is prone to some things like things like fire, and even the burden of carrying all these. So let me assume that you have you are targeting 200 respondents. So at the end of it, you'll be having this burden of carrying all these papers. And that's the reason why we are being advised of late to move electronically. So we'll see advantages of collecting data electronically and not collecting data electronically. Some of them are things like even mandatory field that I was talking about. You are able to skip some questions here, but when you are using the ODK, you will not be able to skip the questions based on some of the mandatory field. So this is the kind of questionnaire that I was using to code in XLS. So first of all, you can see my extension. I renamed this file as household assessment, HH_assessment. So you can see my extension is .xlsx. And I think that was the rule that I gave you, that anytime you're uploading your form, ensure that the extension is xlsx. So let's start with the survey sheet. So I had a column here called serial. Don't worry about this. You can rename it or index or whichever language that you want. But I named it serial just to ensure that my questions are serialized. So I serialized my questions as question 1, question 2, question 3, question 4, question 5, up to question 11. So I only took 11 questions. The rest of the questions in this kind of questionnaire, I opted to leave them just for demonstration purposes. So we'll use the 11 questions to showcase how we can do this. So my second column was the type, which I said is mandatory. I was talking about date. So look date, look select one, look text, look at note, look at begin grouped. I talked about this one. Which one again? Integer, we have integer. I think those are the ones that I used. I also have select multiple over here. And then the name, remember I said names have to be unique. So at no point will you find something repeating here. It appears once. If it's date, it only appears once. If it's a name, it only appears once. So this is whereby you use small letters, and then you ensure that there is no space between them. For example, name of interview, I had to use underscore to ensure that I don't leave any space. So if I say date, then the label will be whatever you want to see on the tablet, whatever you want the enumerator to go and read. That is what we call the label or the base label. So for me, I have base label and I had label. So I just used the base. I used base label and my serial. Then I used this formula to ensure that my questions are numbered. So this is not necessary, but I just had to do this to ensure that my questions are well numbered. So if you can see my serial column and my label column, there's a formula that is here. You can see if in bracket len and so on. So I did this to ensure that my questions are all numbered. So when I don't have any index or rather any serial number here, it will just appear as date of interview. So you can, let's use this column. So the first one was date of interview. Now you see this one, I just write it well in capital with spaces because this is what I want the enumerator to go and read. Okay. So that was a date format. So select one, which is a county. So I tailor-made the questionnaire so that we can collect this data into 3 counties. We have Kisumu, we have Nairobi, and I think Nyeri. So we will write here as county, of course, with small. So these are random that you are the one who gives. So it's good to give a name that you can remember. For those who have used this kind of XLS, I think there's a time that you just want to download it with some unique values and even import it in other softwares like R and do your analysis. So it's always good to give a name that you can remember. But we can even use X as a name. You can use AA as a name. But what we want is, do you know what AA means when you download your data? So this is county, and then we have county here. That is an example of select one. Then up to, from there, we go to select sub-county. That is also an example of select one because an enumerator will only go into one county and one sub-county. So those are the reasons why they are select one. Text is name of enumerator. Like I want you to write your name. So maybe I have many enumerators. I don't have time to master all their names. So I'll leave it open for them to write their names. That is the reason why it's called test. Then note is something like an introduction or something that you want them to go through. So here is a note that I made here. It's kind of introduction and consent. So after that, we want to go to select one. So here is my consent. My consent is, hello, my name is so-and-so. I am working with the WHO. We are conducting a survey about wash, health, and savings in your community. The information we collect will help WHO design a program to reach the community. The questions usually take around 45 minutes. So let me not read all this. At the end of it, you ask someone, do you agree to participate? So it's a select one because the person will either respond yes or no. If she responds yes or he, the survey goes on. If she responds no, the survey comes to an end. So that is the consent. After that, we begin a group. So my first group is respondents agreed. So I said whenever you start a group, you have to close a group. So begin group, and I ended it with end group. So respondents agreed. I say anytime you begin a group, you must end it. After that, I had a note, and my note was instruction. That is for my enumerator to read. So the respondent should be the head of the household. If this respondent is not the head of the household, any adult 18 years and above who can provide information on the household can be interviewed. So that's a note that I wanted my enumerators to know. After that, I create another group again, and the group is general information. Then I closed general information. So if you look at these questions here, name of respondent, sex, age, total household, these are general information. So I ended it by level of education, right? Some of them are text, some of them are select one, some of them are integer. So after closing that group, I went to another new group called livelihood. So all questions here are related to livelihood. For instance, do you have any reliable source of income? Which are the main reliable sources of income that you have? And all those. So those are questions that are related to livelihood. So I only had those groups. So once I I began the livelihood group, I had to ensure that I end it. Now, what is the relationship between choices and survey? Any question here that is select one or select multiple, the choices ought to appear here. For example, I said select one county. If you go to choices, you find the counties that you want to select. So we had Nairobi, Kisumu, and Nyeri. So remember, name in this context will be numbering the choices. Then label will be the choices that you want to appear on the tablet, rather on the form that you'll be using. So county, Nairobi, Kisumu, Nyeri. So After that, remember we went to sub-county. Of course, I have all the sub-counties in these regions where my enumerators were going to collect data. So from there up to here. So I maintained the name sub-county until I finalized. Those were 11. The next one was, so for text, we don't have to do that because that's not our choices. There's no selection here. So text remains text, note remains note. Select one consent. Consent will be yes, I agree, or no, I don't agree. So you will come here and you will find consent. Where is consent? You will find consent, it's here. You'll find consent as either yes or no. Select multiple. An example of select multiple was this one. Which are the main reliable sources of income in your household currently has? So select multiple, income. So if you come here, you will find income. So these are the number of incomes that were in the list. Formal employment, informal employment, government aids, pension, and others. So all those are there. Now, I was talking about other columns that are not mandatory but are very, very much important. So let's go through those columns. So I've shared with you what this means, base label, and now appearance. So appearance column, let me see if I had anything. So it's blank. I never used any appearance. So sometimes you want to dictate how your questions appear. For example, you have a date of interview or date of birth. Let me use date of birth, for instance. Sometimes it's a date of birth, and I was born in 1978. So I don't have to scroll back up to 1978. There's a way you can design it in a way that you only get the year column, month column, and date column and select without going back to the calendar like we are now in 2023. You have to go back to 2021, 2020, like 2000 and all those. So it makes your work so easy because of the flexibility. Repeat count. I never used this one also. So we have some questions that, for instance, if I come to your household and you are only 3 people in the house, and there's a question that needs, there's a subset of questions or a group of questions that everybody is supposed to respond to. So I will not only speak to one person, I will collect a set of questions for person A. After that, I go to person B. After that, I go to person C. After that is when I'll now continue with the general questionnaire. So it can be maybe some subset of questions, maybe 3 questions that are repeating. So you are able to command your XLS or your questionnaire to be with the syntax repeat count. Hint. I said hint is like driving some point home. I never used hint also. For example, if I say date of interview, I can write a hint here and the hint will read, kindly ensure you enter today's date. That will be a hint that I can put here. Of course, we have relevant. So relevant appears when you want to do some skips. For example, yes, I used consent is equal to 1. So here's a relevant. Let me highlight it. I used some relevant here. There's a $sign, then that opening caveat, then you write consent, you close is equal to 1. So this consent is the same consent that is here, the same spelling. So what I mean here is that if someone says yes, the rest of the questions will come or will show. But if someone doesn't say yes or she says no, questions will not be shown. It will be the end of it. So that is the reason why it's equal to 1. Remember, 1 was our yes. So you will see that how it comes when we run the form. We also have column constraint. Constraint is something like, yes, I used it here. For example, I said, what is your age? I only wanted people over 18 years to respond. So I have to restrict this questionnaire in a way that only someone who is over 18 can respond. So sometimes like, what is the total number of people in the household? I did it in a way that you can only key in 0 and beyond. You can't do like, we are -1 or we are -2. So that is the importance of the column constraint. Constraint message, if you do an error here, which kind of message will come? The constraint message. So you can write your own language here, like kindly key in this kind of age bracket or so and so. So required means the question is a must. So I have skipped some things like notes, begin group. So those ones, they don't need the yes or because they are not questions. Only questions are required. So we have the choice filter. choice filter is used when you have something like a cascade. For example, there's a syntax that I've used here. So if I say that I am doing an interview in Kisumu, I only want sub-counties from Kisumu to show. If I'm doing it in Nairobi, I only want sub-counties in Nairobi to show. There's no need of doing it in Nairobi and I get all the sub-counties so that I start searching. That one takes a lot of time, or someone can even forget and select a sub-county that is not in the exact geographic. So we have a default, where was it? Constant message required, choice filter. Default, I never used this one. Minimum second, I never used these ones. And I said we have extra columns that you can always use. We even have a language column so that if you want to translate these questions into either Kikuyu or in Luo or in Kiswahili, you can have a column here for translating, so that anything that you do here, you write here in Kiswahili. So when someone goes to collect data, she or he uses the language that she or he prefers. So that is all about survey sheet. I've told you about the choices sheet. It has these are the basic labels of the choices sheet, but we have some like the filter. So what I did here is I was assigning the sub-counties. To their various counties. So Embakasi East is in Nairobi, so I assigned it 1. Nairobi is 1. Nyakach sub-county is in 2. 2 is Kisumu. So that is what we call the choice filter. For those who are keen, I think you saw something that I wrote here, the one that I'm highlighting. It's also a choice filter. So I do it under sub-county. And then I say county filter is equal to $county. And it's in the sub-county column. So the same thing I do here, I come and do it here and then assign the sub-counties to the counties. So the settings columns, it has very few information. Form title, you can have the form title so that you give your form a name. For instance, mine is Household Survey to assess the impact of COVID-19 on livelihood and food security. Of course, my form ID, I gave it as household_1, version 2023. This is not necessary, but I like it, especially when I'm testing my form. Theme grid, it ensures that my questions are appearing in a box format. So you will see that. One thing to remind you is that anytime you are coding questionnaire into xlsx, keep on running it and testing it. After every 4 or 5 questions, run to see if it's running. After every 4 or 5 questions, run, because sometimes you can develop 1,000 questions, and then when you test, you find out that you have a lot of errors. So how and where do we keep on testing this kind of XLS? So there's a link that I have here. I'm now going to share my screen. There's a link that I have here. The link is this one. It's called, I don't know whether it's getodk.org/xlsx form. So this link is the link that I use to test my form. So after coding all this, I come and test my form whether it's running. So this is the form, then I attach it and I submit. So it's running to test if my form is okay. So my form is okay because it has run. So I'm able to open it. So in case there was any error, maybe you capitalized any word in the name column, or you had any space in one of the words or letters in the name column, it will not go through. Or if there was any repetition somewhere here, it will not go through. So unless it runs, that is when your survey is okay. So for mine has run. This is the link that I used to test. So this is the questionnaire that I have now. You see the way it's appearing. So this is why I said I like the theme grid under setting, this one. You see the way my questionnaire is appearing in some sort of box. Each question is in a box format. So this is the title of my questionnaire, and these are all my questionnaire. I want to start filling it. So date of survey, maybe today is 24th. And then I want to choose the county. If I choose Nairobi, I get the sub-counties under Nairobi. If I say Kisumu, I get the sub-counties under Kisumu. If I say Nyeri, I get the sub-counties under Nyeri. So let me say Kisumu because that's where I am as we speak. Then I say Kisumu West. So what's the name of the enumerator? Remember I said test, sorry. So you just write there. It will give you allocation for writing because it is a test. So this stars depicts that these questions are mandatory. You cannot go to another question without responding to the question that is preceding it. Now, here's my consent. We all know that before you collect any information, you have to seek consent. So, hello, my name is Moses. So this Moses, the same name that I wrote here is appearing. If I say my name is xlsx, the same xlsx appears here. So I am working with the WHO. We are conducting a survey about blah, 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 blah. Then it's here. Let me know and I will go on with the next question, or you can stop the interview at any time. Do you agree to participate? So if I say no, because we don't force people with surveys, then I will just submit. If I say yes, the rest of the questions will appear. Now, there was a note that was here that gives you instruction. The instruction was only adults who are over 18 or household heads should respond to this question. So the enumerator will have to read that and have it at the back of her or his mind. Now, general question. Name of the respondents. Let me say the respondents is David. So David is male. The age is maybe 10. So if I say 10, you see it's not going through because I only wanted people who are 18 years and above. So let me say David is 20. Total number of people in the household. If I say -1, it will not go through because I gave it a restriction. So maybe we are 3 members or 4 members in the household. Are you the head of the household? Maybe no. Marital status, maybe he's married. Level of education, some primary. Do you have any reliable income? Yes. So if I say yes, there's a set of questions that are appearing, but if I say no, some set of questions will not appear. So that is what we call relevancy. For those who, if you saw the column relevancy, somewhere around here, relevant, sorry. So that is a question that is, I think here. I think is there. So if you say yes, which is 1, the next question will appear. But if you say no, the questions do not appear. So if you say yes, they appear, then you can do select multiple. If you say no, they will not appear. Then let me say no. If the respondent if the response is formal employment, please select the sector. So you can select whether agriculture, livestock, fishery, business, or others. So if you select others, you are able to specify. So you can write something that is not here. Let me say I'm a banker. Then we have this set of questions. I will now read 4 statements and you will either agree or disagree. So all this was in the XLS as question 11. So something this is very important is how the questions appear in the questionnaire. There's something that I wanted to show here, but I'm not seeing it. Okay. Of importance is how the questions appear in the questionnaire. So you can see we have agree, we have disagree. So you will read the statement to the respondents, and then she or he will either agree, disagree, agree, disagree. After that, do you want to have any comment? If yes, you can type the comment that she has. If no, it will skip. So let me say I want to have my comment. My comment is thank you. Now, my questionnaire is okay. So this was a testing site. So if I do this, my form is valid. Now, this was just a testing site. Now, let's go to our server, then upload our questionnaire. Then you can connect it to ODK app. Now, here is our server. I use Honor most of the time. For those who are familiar with Honor, it's like COBOL, it's like Service CTO. So here is my Honor, and here is my survey, my questionnaire. If you want to upload it, you just come here, you choose, and upload it. So because I had done that, I will skip that step. So sometimes you just want to view how questions will come, same the way we did in the previous link. So here is how the questions is. Now here is my question. So you can also test try to see if it runs. But now that our question is here, already had done some 10 entries just for practical purposes. Now, how do we connect this form that is already in our server to ODK because we are going to collect questions using tablet. We are not going to go with this link so that we can key in questions here. No, this is just for you to test try your form. So I'm using my phone. So this is my phone. So I'll go to my phone. I believe you are all seeing my screen. I'm using some software here, TeamViewer, to share. So you will go to Play Store and download ODK. Because I already have it, I will not go to Play Store. So once you download ODK, you will change the server settings. So you will have to key in the URL. That is URL for Honor is the one that is showing here, odk.honor.io. After keying in all those, then this is my username. Because I have an account with Honor, this is my username and this is my password. So after ensuring that everything is okay there, I go back. Then I want to pull my form from the server. So I click download form. So I'm getting my form. So all these are the forms that I have in my account, but I only want the one that we have created right away. So I'll unselect all those and look for household. How did I call it? What was the name of it's here, household survey to assess the, yeah, you can see this one. I will mark it and then I will get it. So once you get it, you can now start doing data collection. So it's here, start new form, it's here. So the date today is 24th. So you are using your tablet. So someone is in the field right away doing data entry. And for those who have used ODK, you all know that it's not a must that you have to have your internet on unless you are submitting or unless you are picking some geocodes or whichever. So let me say I'm in Nairobi. The next one will only give me sub-counties in Nairobi, for example, Langata. Then my name is Moses. This is the consent. So if I say yes, the questions will come. Then the note. Then name of the respondents is John. John is male. The age is 30. Total household, 3. Are you the head of the household? No. I'm divorced. I had some high school. I don't have any reliable source of income. Livestock. Then the rest of the questions you will read. I agree. Sorry. I agree. I agree. I agree. I agree. No. Yes. Then finalize. Then now I need to submit. Now submitting, send a ready form. Then you mark it. Then at this point you have to ensure that your internet is on. Then you send selected. So it's going to the server. So my form has been submitted. So you can collect as many questions as possible, maybe 50 respondents. Then at the end of the day, you come and mark all of them and submit. So you don't have to submit, you don't have to collect, submit. No, that takes a lot of time. You can just collect and save, then you submit them for once. Now I have submitted. So if I go to my server, you see I had 10, I will now find 11, right? So let me open my questionnaire in the server. So this is Honor now. So you see there are now 11. I had 10, but now there are 11. That means I have submitted one right away. So sometimes I want to check my submissions. So I did others yesterday when I was just trying it, some of them today. So these are the data. So if you want to do any change, only the admin can do the change. Maybe you are working remotely somewhere and people are collecting data. So atakwambia, there's a mistake that I did. I need to change. So you will come here and then you can edit and change the because you are the super admin. You have the password and the username. So you can, if this was Nairobi, you can change it to Kisumu and all those. Then you submit. So in case someone did a wrong entry, you can do that because you have the rights to the server. Now, I want to connect this report to Power BI so that I can visualize it and even share it with my bosses, with my program managers, and all those. So I'm moving fast with the interest of time. So I already worked on this kind of dashboard. It's very simple. To save time, this is the kind of, so the small information that we have gathered in the 11 questions, you can come up with such a dashboard because everything here is from the is from the questionnaire. So what did I do? I had to get the data. And because we are getting data from a web portal, we will use web. So Honor has what we call API that you have to use. And the API for Honor, let me copy it and paste it somewhere here. So this is the API for Honor. HTTPS, then api.honor.io, .api.v1.data. And it's only unique to Honor, for those who know how API works. So this is the API that links Honor to Power BI. So the last thing that you have to key in is the form ID. So our form ID is, you can get it here, 77 66 37. So if I copy it, I'll come here and paste it. And then if I do OK, Power BI will connect to Honor and pull all my data. I mean the table. You see the way this table is appearing here. All this will be pulled into Power BI. But I've already done that, so I'll cancel it and maybe show you how I connected it. Let me go to transform. I think this is now another class again. So after transforming, so this is the household access. You see the table. So this is how I started it. I pulled it using the same API, Honor, blah blah blah, all this. After this, all the steps that I did to ensure that these all the steps that I did to ensure that my data set or my data is okay. So I did all these steps in the Power Query for those who are familiar with Power BI, but because I've already done that, let me close it. So after doing that, I had to come, I changed the theme of my Power BI, and then I created this dashboard. Now, the final stage is to publish this dashboard to Power BI server, and then automate it in a way that it auto refreshes and pulls data without coming here and keying refresh. So without coming here, and so you remember I had we had 11 entries over there. Now I'm refreshing. Now we have 9. Let's see how many will come. Because I'm refreshing, so that my Power BI is connecting with Honor. So you see there are now 10. The other side we had 11. The reason is when I was doing the test, one person denied. I responded one person as no. So he is not being captured or she's not being captured. So that's the reason why I have them 10 in the DAX formula that I used here. And that's the reason why you see our response rate is 91, because one person denied, right? And then average household members, you can do all this using the measures. You can produce a table showing how people are responding from sub-county, and even have some conditional formatting. You can have this visual that shows how how people are submitting their entries by day. Like on Monday, we had 2, on Tuesday 1, Wednesday, how many 2, and all those. You can also have a map showing how people are. This is a heat map showing the intensity of respondents. So you can see in Kisumu and Nairobi, it's kind of highly concentrated because all of them have kind of the same intensity. But for Nyeri, seems like few entries are coming in. But this is a class for another day. So let's go to Power BI. Let's publish this. So if you click this, it will publish to Power BI server. Because I already done that, let me just move direct to Power BI server. So when you publish it, I published it in my workspace. So you will come and find it somewhere here. Where is it? I renamed the Power BI file as Phonics. So it's here. So if you open this, you'll get the dashboard and of course the data set. So if you want to auto refresh it, you want to make it to refresh by default even you are sleeping, you don't have to come here and refresh. You just come here, click, and then data source, you ensure that you have to key in your data source. That is the owner, where the data is coming from. After that, you come to refresh, and then it was, if it's off, you can do it. You can put it on because this one already done it. Then you want it to auto refresh weekly or daily. I did daily, and then I used the Nairobi time. Then I want it to be like 1 a.m. Nairobi time, it refreshes. 8 a.m., 4 p.m., and 7 p.m. So by the time, so then you can do that. You can send refresh. So if it fails, you can authorize it to send an email to you that your data has failed as the model owner. Then you click apply. So once you click apply, your data set will auto refresh, rather your dashboard or your report. For instance, it's Phonics now. So if you look at it here, the next refresh, I think this is a new one that I uploaded, but the last refresh was 4 p.m. So you can remember one of our refresh was 4 p.m. So this was the last refresh. So you can open your dashboard from this point. I think I'm done now. In 1 minute, I'll be complete. So even if you are sleeping, this dashboard will just be refreshing. As it refreshes, it pulls new submissions that have been submitted from the field and are here into this visual. So you will see your, where is it? You will see your metrics changing. You will see your values changing, and that you can go an extra step by even subscribing your team to this dashboard. So I don't have any subscription. So that was not part of the class. The class was majorly focusing on creating XLS, linking it to ODK, and then submitting it and linking it to Honor. So from my presentation that I was doing, if I can do it again, you can remember this circle. So we have covered all this circle. So you are here, maybe you are in US, you are in South Africa, and your team is doing the recollection in Turkana, in Tanzania or Uganda. You can perfectly monitor them and share report with the same formality that we have done. Otherwise, with the interest of time, thank you very much. Back to you.
Thank you, Moses. That was such a good presentation. Guys, if you have any questions, please ask on the chat box or Q&A. Moses, I wanted to ask, what is that visual down there on the dashboard? Go to the dashboard, please. Yeah, that one that is moving and showing the percentages in the, is it counties? Moses, are you there? You're on mute.
Sorry. I've been talking all along. I said the visual is called a scroller. So it's good for showing KPIs in a bulleting format. Or if you want to, maybe your dashboard is current, you still need to pass some information. For example, the information that I'm passing is the percentage of income by sub-counties based on the response that we had. So you see, like people like Embakasi, their reliability was 100%, Kisumu West 3%, and all those. But you can modify it and even have some interesting colors, like when it's high, which color do you want to depict, and it's low, which color do you want to depict. But the visual is called Scroller. It's available on Power BI Store.
Oh, okay, so it's custom visual.
Yes, actually here you can see the name and the scroller.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I wanted to know if someone wanted to have a historical view, this being a dashboard. For example, they wanted to know maybe yesterday 5 people responded, today 3 people responded. Is that possible?
It's possible. There's a graph that I had here. You can see on Monday 2 people responded. On Tuesday 1 person. On Wednesday 2 people. So it's based on how you want it, but this is the simplest one that I designed, and we even have average responses by day. So for you to come up with this, of course, you have to come up with a calendar table on Power BI. So I came up with this kind of calendar table to ensure that I have my week by names, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So that's according to the format that you want. You can also have a filter of days or of calendar so that you can filter by day. If you choose Monday, you want to see only data for Monday to come. If you choose Tuesday, only data for Tuesday will come.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's possible.
For the form does not need any form of refreshing before the dashboard refreshes. For it just updates like
the form
by itself?
doesn't refresh because you are the one who remember you're in the field submitting data. So if you submit, by default it picks. Yeah, because this is a server.
Yeah.
So by this, let me open it. Where was it? Sorry. So this is a server. So this is the table. This is a server. So anytime I key in my data, the data will come in here. But you see, it's not like without refreshing, you see like this one turning to 2. No, you have to refresh, then you will see any value that has been added.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So this is just a server. I think Honor is based in Nairobi. I think they are based in Nairobi.
Yeah, they are. There's someone who's asking if can this be done on Kobo too?
Yes. Honor operates. I don't know whether there's a difference between Honor and Kobo. At least Survey CTO, you will find some. It has a lot of content, but I like using I prefer either Kobo or Honor. So Kobo will also have its own API, just like Honor has its own. So it's possible. Kobo and Honor, they both use ODK. I know CTO doesn't use ODK. They have their own application called Service CTO, I think. But I've not used CTO per se. But for Honor and Kobo, it's the same scenario.
All right. Okay, people are still not asking, but I wanted to know the Power BI version that you're using, is it your personal one or is it the company one that has bought the license?
So Power BI is public. What is private is server.
Yes.
So I believe you're talking about the server, right?
No, I'm talking about
you are breaking.
Yes, the server. Because one thing I've realized is most people who have maybe downloaded Power BI desktop, and then when you publish it, it's not able to auto refresh.
It will only give you some. It will give you some 14 days trial, something of the sort, right?
Yeah.
So Power BI is commercial, but it's not as commercial as Tableau. For those who have used Tableau, because I've used both tools, I found Power BI at least more friendly as compared to Tableau, especially in terms of cost. So just because that's the reason why we call it business intelligence. It's meant for business. So it's sort of for corporate like institutions, organizations, companies, and all those. So if your email address is Gmail or Yahoo, you'll find Power BI rejecting because it wants you to use the organization email address. You see, it's a business and this is a Microsoft product. So they want you to have they want your company to license with Microsoft to work with them. And that's the reason why it's kind of commercial. But if you want to pay for it, we have two kind of modalities of paying because it's commercial. We have the how do we call it? We have the pro and is it premium or something of the sort? I don't know how much they cost, but you have to pay to have the service. You will only access it. I think they only give a length of 2 weeks for those who have not subscribed. After that, you have to pay, but it's not that expensive. I think it's a few dollars either per month or annual. But for me, because I develop a lot of Power BI reports or dashboards, so I'm using my work account, that is the organizational account. So private stuff like this, I publish them into my workspace. For those who are familiar with it.
Okay. Someone is asking, can the same be done on EpiCollect?
EpiCollect?
Yeah.
What is EpiCollect? I'm not familiar with EpiCollect.
Okay.
Let me see what EpiCollect is.
It's Epi.
That way.
Yes.
EpiCollect. Okay. Oh, it's kind of a data collection toolkit. It's kind of an ODK toolkit. I'm not certain, but we are always open to trying. Yeah, I know if they have that API, if they give a location for API, it's always possible, but there's no built in connector for API API 5 in. No, I can see. I just googled and they don't give that. They don't have the API. So once they develop the API, it's always possible.
Okay. Oh, someone is.
I'm also seeing some resources here. It could be. I don't know. I'm seeing some resources, but you can just Google and then confirm. There's no inbuilt. No, there's no inbuilt connect actually. So that is, I think it's impossible from the look of things.
All right. Oh, someone is saying Power BI gives a 60-day free trial to get a
60. Yes, 2 months, 60 days, right? Not 2 weeks.
Yeah, 60 days.
Yes, exactly. I think I was forgetting it. It gives you 60 days allowance.
Okay. All right. So there are no more questions, but I will upload this video on YouTube for anyone who wants to go back to it and refer back. Yeah, this was really nice, Moses. Thank you. That was such a good presentation.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah. And also feel free to do any more presentations if you want to teach us anything else.
Okay, I will.
Yeah, or anything like that.
Yeah, I will in case I feel like I need to share some knowledge with the team.
Oh, yes. Thank you so much and have a lovely weekend, everyone.
Karibu. Bye.
Bye-bye.